Good morning, sweet world. Welcome to Games Over Plastic, a very special episode of Games Over Plastic. This is our award show, and as you can tell, I'm a little dressed up. My co-hosts did dress up as well, just in their usual attire. But hey, it's the reverse of the last Christmas episode where they dressed up and I didn't. I dressed up this time. They didn't. It's okay. It's very early for midnight. This is probably the earliest he's ever recorded an episode. Earliest overall was probably me when I was in Hawaii when I was recording at like 6 a.m. That was awesome. Love that.
I forgot about that.
But as you all know, this is Games Over Plastic, a podcast about video games. No console warring here. We just talk about our love of the game. This is great stuff. I'm joined, as always, by my wonderful co-hosts. First up, we have Hodge. Hodge with as many different backgrounds. I think Hodge is recorded in the most different places compared to anyone. Midnight is always recorded there. I've recorded in 2 different places. So, Hodge, how you doing, bud?
I'm doing good. I hope everyone had a great Christmas. I'm rocking my quarters that my parents got me from the Blackhawks, who are terrible right now, but it's okay. Actually, I am technically in the same spot I used to record. I'm just in a different room because I'm at my parents' house, but I don't have my microphone, so if I sound a little off, it's because I'm talking through headphones, but I hope I sound okay for everyone. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. I hope everyone had a great Christmas, and let's do some fun awards.
Well, we're so glad you're here. You sound like crap, though, so no, I'm kidding.
Thank you.
I'm just messing with you. You sound great.
I'm also sick, so it's double bad.
It's all good. You sound great. I love it. Thank you for being here. I'm really happy to have you. Next up, we have our usual co-host, the usual host of the show, the one, the only, the opposite of the sun, Midnight.
Yes, the darkness. I'm happy to be here, of course. Really excited about this episode. This was Sean's baby. He wanted to have this award show, and we've been looking forward to doing this for months now, and I'm so excited that it's here. We're going to talk about all these great games and characters and moments, and it's going to be so fun. And I just want to mention real quick, the way we're going to do this, listeners, is, we're going to give our 3 winners or whatever, but ultimately who is the winner is for you to decide. So leave a comment in the comments. Let us know who you think actually, which game really is the game of the year, which really is the character of the year, and feel free to leave your own picks and have some fun with it. But yeah, this is super early for me. I hope you guys appreciate my dedication. I had to wake up at 7:30 in the morning, which is early for me. I know some people wake up way earlier than that, but I do not. This is earlier than I wake up for work. So I do it for the love and for the podcast, and I'm happy to be here, though. I'm excited.
Hey, for the record, for everyone knowing, it's my fault that Midnight has to wake up this early because I am moving tomorrow and Saturday. So we're recording actually early. It's the day after Christmas, but
he's going to have another background.
Yeah, I'll have hopefully the final one for a couple of years. So
you keep doing this, Hodge. People are going to catch on to the fact that you're actually in the CIA and you're moving around.
That's true.
That's his real job. He works for the CIA.
He's in a black site every week.
Either works for the CIA or he's in witness protection.
Yeah. This is a gun.
I can't believe the CIA just took us out. That is crazy. No, we just had some technical difficulties there. It's funny. We were talking about the CIA and then all of a sudden had to abort. But our intros are done. Before we get into our actual awards, though, I want to thank all of our listeners for a great year. This is our final episode of 2024, and honestly, this was like one of the best decisions we ever made, was doing this podcast. I've enjoyed it. We haven't missed an episode. It's been great. Even if one of us can't be here, we just continue on. Overall, I'm really happy and pleased. You can listen to us on any podcast feed. If you're watching the video version, obviously you're watching on YouTube. We'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, comment, share it out, do whatever. Give us 5 stars on the podcast services. Maybe if you start leaving reviews, we'll start reading them. Maybe every couple episodes we'll read some reviews. That'll be a good idea. Thanks for tuning in, and we are ready to go with our award show. So we have 10 awards, everybody. 10 awards. And we kind of, thanks to Hodge, he ordered the awards. I came up with them, but he ordered them in the most logical way possible. So we're going to start with the SMH. For those older listeners, that's you, Dad. That it means shaking my head. the Shaking My Head Award, which I have a little preface for each one. This is the I Can't Believe I Spent This Many Hours in This Game Award. And we're going to start off. I'm going to kick it to Hodge. Hodge, what is your SMH Award winner? Or honorable mentions first, however you want to take it.
So yeah, I only had one honorable mention for this one. I was almost gonna go with Rebirth just because I'm not, as you guys know, and everyone who listens knows, I'm not the kind of guy who plays like 100-hour RPGs. And so the fact that I put like 75 hours into this game before I beat it, I did not platinum it because S ranking the songs was never going to happen. So yeah, Sean is the king of that. So I didn't go with Rebirth. I went with Fortnite just because I can't believe I'm still playing it as much as I am. So, that's my
same.
yeah. So I can't believe I'm still putting that much hours into Fortnite, even though I haven't in recent weeks. But still, that's my SMH award, Fortnite.
Do you know how many hours you've put in this year?
Oh, this year? Oh, it was on my Xbox like wrap up thing, but I forgot. It was in the tens of. It was like 40 something hour or no. It was probably a couple days. I can't remember. It was a while. I think it was 96 hours actually. Now that I think of it, I think that's how much time I put into it. So I didn't put as much time as others. I think I have like 90 days overall in the last 7 years. So I put way too many hours into it. But yeah, I can't remember. It's too much though.
It's all right. I had one of my students showed me their PlayStation Wrapped like right before we left for vacation. Fortnite, 2,226 hours.
Okay, I'm not that bad.
I was like, Jesus. I'm like, where are we dropping? He's like, where are we dropping, boys? In that exact voice, even though he's 17 years old.
Exactly. But yeah, Fortnite, waste of time, and I've spent a lot of time wasting on that. So yeah.
Hey, well, as long as you enjoy it, that's all that matters. All right, Midnight, you're up. What is your SMH award?
All right. So the game that I can't believe that I played so many hours is actually X Defiant, the Ubisoft shooter. I put in 165 plus hours on that game, just gunning people down, having a good time, lots of fun. Still installed on my console. Going to go back and play it at some point here because we want to experience they dropped all of the final content for it. They were apparently sitting on a ton of content, and I don't know why they were drip feeding it. They should have did bigger updates, and maybe it would have survived more. But like they launched 3 factions, like the Assassins are in the game now, like some Tom Clancy stuff, some other crap, I forget. So like all these new characters with abilities, they dropped all these new skins, all these new maps. They made everything free in the store now, so you can just go in and buy all the skins and stuff for free, and it's cool. But yeah, it's crazy. So X Defiant is I can't believe I spent so long, 165 hours on a now dead game that very few people besides myself liked it. Very sad, very sad. But shout out to that game.
That actually makes me sad because, like I said, I did really like it when it launched. It's just I think what happened is once it got into the out of the welcome playlist, so many people dropped off because it instantly got sweaty. So, I think that's what killed it.
The big claim to fame for this game was that it had no skill-based matchmaking. And I think what we learned from this experiment is that even though we say we don't want any skill-based matchmaking, like the COD hardcore people don't like it. What we really mean is that we just want less skill-based matchmaking. There has to be some skill-based matchmaking. You can't have your casual players who just like work a long time and then get on and play for a couple hours getting stomped out by these uber sweats. Like that's not a fun experience. So I think you have to have some level of skill-based matchmaking and protection for people in the lower brackets, if you will. But just have it a lot looser so that there is more variety of gameplay. Like maybe you get stomped out every 4th game, but not every game. You know what I mean? That would be acceptable, you know?
Yeah, that's what happened with Call of Duty. I get stomped up every 4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's fine. When I saw that they were shutting down X Defiant, I was like, it still got me thinking, like, this has been the year where so many live service games have just ended and died very quickly. Obviously not as fast as Concord.
Yeah. That game, oof, man. Yeah.
We hardly knew you.
Yeah.
So what about you, Sean?
All right, so I had a couple of honorable mentions for this. First off, I want to say one honorable mention was Grand Blue Fantasy Relink because this game I really did enjoy. I loved my time with it. This is one of the first games I talked about on this podcast. I didn't think I was gonna get addicted to it and put as many hours as I did. I ended up playing over 100 hours and 106. Which is very bizarre because I had talked about how like the story's not deep and I'm a big story guy, and it's more of just like the loot and the grind of going on these missions and doing things over and over again. So that's just one honorable mention. A second honorable mention I have is a game that if I were to if this award war had existed in years past, like the last like 4 years, it probably would have won, and that is Dr. Mario for the Nintendo Switch Online because I put so many hours into Dr. Mario every year. So not as I haven't put as many this year, only 86 this year. That was my Nintendo Wrapped. But I love Dr. Mario so much that when the Nintendo Switch Online thing first came out, I played so much Dr. Mario that when I shut my eyes, I saw the pills falling. Like in like how they always talked about how people who got addicted to Tetris back when it first came out had the Tetris eyes. I had the Dr.
Mhm.
Mario eyes, and it was really bad. Yeah. But my shaking my head award is gonna go to, which I am surprised that it's this award, but at the same time I am not. It is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I put 170 hours into this and mainly chasing the platinum, and that 170 hours, like 45 of it were spent on like just like the extreme missions and like the super hard like Chadley missions that you have to do, like the combat simulator. And I spent like
Oh
45
yeah.
hours doing that, and I had like weeks. I remember I talked about it. I had spent like days just like grinding out some of these missions, and like just like I'd stick to like one combat trial and do it over and over again, get to the end and just get my butt kicked and just feel so disappointed. I remember talking about that and being like, I might give up. I don't know. I don't know if I can do it. But then, I would go on, and then I remember it was right after we got off a recording. I like messaged him like, guys, I just beat the one that I've been struggling on for like 2 weeks, and like I like freaked out. And then I get to like the next one, it's even harder, and I'm like, all right. So it's definitely Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But my honorable mentions there, Dr. Mario, because that's the one of the greatest puzzle games ever, and Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. So Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, you are my SMH Award winner.
Good
Nice.
stuff. Yeah, Sean, I thought about going back to playing, or not going back, but playing Final or Grand Blue Fantasy. But I'm not sure if it's worth me going to play that game now because, as I understand it, a lot of the perk of that game was the end game co-op, and
Yeah.
now most of the people have moved on, so it'd be harder to find co-op.
So the community is still pretty active. There's a Discord that I'm like a part of. Like I never like talk in that Discord, but there are probably like 500 or 600 members who are routinely playing every night. I do want to go back and get the platinum. There's like one thing I have to do left, but it requires like doing this mission. Like there's a lot of RNG. Like you have to like get a certain reward, and the reward only like hits like every like it's like 1% of the time it hits, and it's just, and the mission is like ridiculous that you have to do. So I'm like, do I really want to do it? I don't know. We'll see. All right. Next up, are we satisfied with the SMH award?
Yeah,
Yeah.
All right.
we are.
Next up, we have the I Can't Believe It's Not Butter award. Our favorite game that felt so much like another IP. This is a very interesting topic. So this is a game that we played that felt so much like another IP. Hodge, you're up, bud.
I I have one honorable mention for this one before I get into my winner. Just because I would have chosen this as my winner, but I haven't beaten it yet, so I don't want to include it in my awards as a winner. Is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle feels like Dishonored. It is so cool how you're able to pick your path basically on how to beat a mission. It's just kind of a semi-open world where you have your ways of sneaking around guards or disguising yourself, or it's such a great game, and I just felt like I was playing Dishonored half the time, other than not having teleporting powers and stuff like that. So that's what that felt like that. But the one I went with instead is Astrobot, which just feels like a Nintendo platformer. It perfected the formula of just being a great platform with different worlds and powers and stuff. Like, it was just, I mean, obviously I love Astrobot in its own merit, but it felt like Mario Odyssey at times. Like, I just remember how much fun I had with all the different powers the hat gave you and all this stuff. And so Astrobot, it definitely felt like, it definitely didn't feel like a Sony game, because obviously Sony's not really a platformer studio anymore, or maker anymore, because we don't get Jack and Daxter anymore or anything like that. So yeah, Astrobot, it felt like Nintendo. And so that is my winner for the I cannot believe it's not the butter award.
I love that pick, Hodge. That's a really good pick. We had talked about in the spoiler cast how much Astrobot, how much we just saw Nintendo spewing out of it, and we even saw that at the fake Game Award show hosted by Jeff Keighley, because we all know the Goppies, as we're gonna call this. I forgot to mention, this is called the Goppies, listeners. The Gameoverplastic, the Goppies. This is the real award show. But Hodge, we talked about in our spoiler cast how much like it just spews Nintendo, and at that fake Game Award show, the developers even made nods to Nintendo. They didn't name Nintendo, but they were alluding to it so vastly that they took inspiration, and how much they appreciated Nintendo games. So, Hodge, it's a great pick.
Yeah,
great pick. All right, so I'm up now. So the I can't believe it's not butter award for me. The obvious choice, and this will be my honorable mention, is X Defiant, because the game feels like Call of Duty. Obviously, it's designed that way. So, but the one that I went with, and this is kind of obvious, I guess, because they make similar style games, but hey, they make similar style games. That's the point. So I went with The Quarry. I did The Quarry for Halloween. Remember, I think it was Supermassive, right? You know, it's the narrative, linear, choice-based game, stuff like that. And obviously that is super similar to Quantic Dream games like Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, etc. You're playing different characters with an interwoven story, and you're making choices and stuff. So that's what I went with, The Quarry. Good game. But yeah, also shout out to X Defiant, which is like a better version of Call of Duty, and sadly is dead.
Yep.
So, R.I.P.
I agree.
That's another really good pick. The Quarry, I definitely remember you talking about that, and that's going to be on my Halloween list to play next year.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Same.
All right, so for my I can't believe it's not butter award, I have a couple honorable mentions. Well, I have one real honorable mention. That honorable mention is Astrobot, because I had a feeling Hodge was going to pick it, so I'm like, I'm not picking Astrobot. But as I've said, it spews Nintendo. It reminds me so much of like Mario, specifically 3D Mario World, very much like 3D Mario World, Super Mario 3D World, not 3D Mario World. That's like any 3D Mario game. But yeah, Super Mario 3D World. For me, my winner is a game that I played in April that I talked about a lot, and that was Terra Memoria. And that was that turn-based RPG where you're playing as like animals and you're running around. And I talked about how there's a deep story. If you really want to get into my like really deep thoughts about that game, go back to an episode in April. I can't remember the exact episode, but I really enjoyed it. And this reminded me so much of Paper Mario, just the turn-based combat, the way that the battle system works, the button-based the time-based combat. Sorry, I couldn't think of it. The time-based button mechanics. It reminded me so much of Paper Mario, and most of our listeners know how much I adore Paper Mario. Shout out to another podcast that I would guest it on, Backlog Brain Rot. They're going to be having an episode coming out soon all about all the Mario RPG games, where I spew emphatically about my deep love for all things Mario RPG games.
I gotta say, that's an awesome name for a podcast.
Oh my god, it is a great name, and it's a really good show. It's a good, phenomenal show. But yeah, Backlog Brain Rot. There's gonna be an episode coming out, and you can hear all my thoughts spewing about the Mario RPGs. But yes, Terra Memoria, that is my winner for I can't believe it's not butter award. And yes, you did spell that correctly. That is a very good spelling there. A+.
Backlog Brain Rot. That sounds like the story of my life. I'm constantly getting out and living in my backlog. So
before we move on, just one real quick. They have they do like an episode. They do like their shows bi-weekly, and every other episode is just like a monthly update. And during their monthly update, they go, all right, you get a minute. Everyone gets like a minute of just the brain rot section where they just spew about like a game that they consider brain rot that they played, and it's like a minute. And then once that minute hits, it's like, nope, can't talk about it anymore. It's great.
That's funny. That's awesome. I'll have to check that one out. Sounds good.
Yeah, that's good. All right. Next up, our third award is the Elvis. This is the video game song of the year. I didn't know what else to call this, so I just went with the Elvis. Fun fact: I am not a fan of Elvis. It's kind of weird. I do not like Elvis.
He's fine. It's fine. Whatever.
The most things Elvis I like is in Fallout New Vegas, and for those who've played that, you know what I'm talking about.
You don't like a little Elvis? Come on, man.
Oh, and I like Stitch when he's like Elvis.
Can't help falling in love with you.
I don't think I can name an Elvis song, to be honest.
I just did for you. There you go.
I don't even know what that's called.
No. Oh my God. Why
I don't
Oh,
know.
Hound
There's a
Dog,
bunch
right?
of-
Hound Dog.
Yeah.
Hound Dog.
Ain't nothing but a hound dog. Yeah.
Hey man, you got to respect. He's one of the goats, but yeah, obviously
that's why
before our time. So
Yep, that's why I have it here in the Goppies. So, video game song of the year, Hodge, you're up.
Honestly, I could have picked anything from Rebirth, basically, because Final Fantasy VII is notorious for having an amazing soundtrack. The Astrobot themes are all joyful, but the song I'm going to go with, it's going to be a very out of just left field, is just straight up the Helldivers theme that plays when you're dropping from the ship. The dun 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 dun. It's the most epic. I've put hundreds of hours into that game already. Even more, I think it was Fortnite was the only game that beat it in terms of how much I played a game this year. And every single time you drop from that ship and that theme plays, it gets you hyped every single time. You never get used to it. It's awesome. So I just got to go with, that Helldivers drop theme of when you're dropping from the ship to start your mission. It is so epic. I love it. And yep, that is my winner.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I've never
right
played
on.
Helldivers, but I do know this. I do know what you're talking about because I remember when we were in New York back in March, Hodge, when we had that big meetup at the arcade the barcade that we all the big meetup at. I remember people were
Yeah.
talking. You know, obviously that was right when Helldivers came out. People were talking about that, and I heard people like were humming it. It was like stuck in their head. So I looked at it.
Yeah.
So someone showed it. I'm like, oh, I want to listen to it. So someone showed it to me, and I was like, that is an absolute banger.
Oh, it's so good, dude. The soundtrack is coming out on vinyl soon, and I'm very tempted to buy it. I love it. I love that game though. So, yeah. What about Midnight? What are you thinking for your favorite song? The Elvis.
yeah. So this one was a little difficult for me because I'm not a huge music guy. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I love music. Music is good, but I don't really pay as much attention to the music as I do the other elements of the gameplay and the story. It's just background and ambiance for me usually. So like while I do recognize and enjoy it, I'm not like thinking about it after the fact. But there was one that definitely came to mind, and that was because I did play this game this year. Oh crap! It wasn't from this year.
It's
well.
okay. Don't worry about it.
I already thought of it. So it is going to be Down by the River from Baldur's Gate 3, which is like the theme song when you open up the game. And it's like down, down, down.
It's great.
The river. Yeah, it's great. So that great song. Shout out to Baldur's Gate 3. Great music. Final Fantasy also had amazing music. I just can't remember like what they were, So that's what I went with. Baldur's Gate 3, Down by the River. Shout out to that song and that awesome game.
Nice.
What about you, Sean?
All right. So I am the opposite of man. I love video game music. Like this is what I absolutely I listen to this so much. Like during every single marathon I've run. So I've run 6 now because I just ran my last one this past Sunday. Every single marathon is just listen to video game music the entire time. And it just like drives me. It's so good. I love it. This past one I listened to specifically Trails. So the Trails series, Legend of Heroes Trails. I listened to that music the entire time I ran. It was great. Unfortunately, though, only one Trails game came out this year, and that was Trails Through Daybreak. And I absolutely adored that game. As you guys know, I freaking love that game. It made me cry. The music, though, is not one of its high points, especially for compared to other Trails games. So Trails Through Daybreak, I have no honorable mentions from that. One honorable mention I do have, though, I want to give a shout out to Animal Well. The music fits the tone of that game so much because Animal Well is so creepy and just like the ambiance, like the like when you run into like an area that's like gonna like that's like really dangerous, like the music just like gets really dark and it gets really like loud, and you can just it makes you like creepy. You get the creepy feels. It's great. I absolutely love it. There's not like they don't have like names for songs in it. It's just like this blank area of the game. I don't want to say what the area is because it kind of spoils it. Um, but it's really good, and I do listen. I've listened to that before, like on just on YouTube. Someone has a playlist with all the songs, and it's really creepy, and it's really fun to just like put it on as background music. But my song of the year is from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and it is Tifa's theme, specifically when you play it on the piano, though. So like the piano version, I absolutely like loved it, and anytime I hear it, I'm like instantly filled with just like warmness in my body. I don't even know how to explain it. It just makes me feel so like alive, and I absolutely love it. And to the point where I play it so much that I have like it like almost memorized in my head, like what like the part, like the sounds and like the keys on the piano. And I'm not like musical, but I know the different keys on the piano and what they sound like. So I love it, and to the point my students know what it is because I oftentimes when they're doing like a group work in the classroom and they're collaborating, I'll put background music on, and I have a piano version of like a bunch of Final Fantasy VII songs on one of my playlists, and everyone knows when that one comes on, they have to. Everyone stays really quiet because Mr. Mason loves it. So yeah, Tifa's theme on the piano specifically, it's great.
I will say I love those. I even though I was bad at those, I loved them. But the Eris theme has always been my favorite from those. But yeah, that's a great choice. I love the piano. I very often, if I'm going to bed, I'll just pull up YouTube and I'll throw on like a piano collection of songs from video games and stuff. And so obviously, Final Fantasy is always a huge one in that genre. And yeah, I love it.
It's great. I absolutely love it.
If I would have played Persona this year, I wanted to play Persona 3 Reload. I probably would have had a Persona game in there because they always have such epic music, but I didn't this year. So.
I was thinking the same thing for me with Persona 3 because I know the original Persona 3 soundtrack's really good, and I figured the remake is probably even better. And same thing with Metaphor. I haven't played Metaphor yet, which I will be getting to soon.
Metaphor retard Ozio.
Oh my god. So many people call it that now. It's like alarming.
Good job, Dustin, for introducing that.
Shout out to Dustin. We love him.
Yeah, funny. But yeah, video game music, absolutely love. All right. Next up, here we go. We have the Dad Award. This is the proudest video game moment of the year for you. It doesn't have to be like a specific like game, or it doesn't have to be a specific like, oh, this game came out in 2024. What's the proudest you felt when you played a video game for doing something in the game? Hodge, you're up.
Yeah, I honestly was trying to think of like, oh, is there a trophy I got, or is there just a game I beat? But honestly, I kind of went a different route with this. And my proudest moment was just going back and finally playing Dead Space 1 and 2, because I just missed out on those games. I've probably said this on the podcast, but when the first Dead Space came out, there was a demo for it on Xbox 360, and I played it. And it's not that I don't like horror games. It's just that one felt so weird to me. And I just wasn't a really big fan of it. So I was just like, I guess the Dead Space isn't for me. But then I just heard how much people loved the remake. So when the remake came to Game Pass this year, I fired it up and I love it. It is an amazing game. And then I went to play 2, which was also great, even though obviously that one's a little more dated. It's not remade. And then 3, I actually did give up during because it just didn't land the way 1 and 2 do. But just going back and replaying those games and going into a very deep backlog that's literally years old felt good. And I liked kind of finally letting myself into that world. And I love it. And I'm angry. Just recently they said they turned down a pitch for Dead Space 4, and that made me sad. And they canceled Dead Space 2 remake. So both of those things make me sad, and I feel like I joined at the wrong time, but I'm happy I finally played those. So those are I think my proudest moment of the year is playing some Dead Space.
Go on.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna
Go
say
ahead,
I
Sean.
love the way that you took it that way because this was a very. I tried to make these very open ended, and that's a really good thing. Like you found out you're just proud of yourself for doing something. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My is actually very similar. My proudest moment, first of all, honorable mention, but really the real winner, is starting this podcast with you two amazing gentlemen. That's my proudest moment, although this is going to be the honorable mention. But I'm just so glad that we decided to do this podcast. I'm so glad that I chose you guys to join me because there could not be a better trio. You two are the best, and I'm just here for the ride. So you guys make the show go. But I appreciate it. It's awesome. It's been a great year, and we got many more coming. We're not quitting anytime soon, if ever. So you're stuck with us, bitches. No. All right. So my winner, though, for the dad, very similar, Hodge. You and I, birds of a feather. I also picked games that I crossed off the backlog, the deep backlog. I'm proud of myself for finally beating two of the GOATs of gaming that I had never played before. First off, shout out Final Fantasy VII, the original, the OG. I went back and played it. Finally crossed that off the bucket list, if you will, and what a great game it was. And check out our spoiler cast, people, if you haven't seen it. We did it.
Yeah.
And also The Witcher 3, one of the GOATs, no doubt. The undisputed game of the year from 2015. Almost nobody disputes it. It's such a masterpiece. Finally played that too for the first time. So I'm proud of myself for going back into the backlog and playing some GOATs. That's mine.
Nice.
All right, I love that. As many of you know, I love hunting trophies, but I did not put a trophy as my dad moment of the year. I do want to give an honorable mention to getting that platinum in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, though. That was fun. A lot of fun. Pretty ridiculous. But I am my dad award goes to the fact that I really didn't rush out to buy a game just to have, or a new game came out and wasn't like, oh, I need to get it right away just because I need to have it. That used to be a big problem for me. I would oftentimes buy games right when they came out and be like, all right, I'm gonna get to it, but I'm so glad I bought it. I didn't do that this year. So for example, like when Metaphor came out, I didn't rush and buy it. Like, I need it right now. I need it. I still haven't bought it yet because I didn't plan on playing it for a while. I'm going to buy it when I'm gonna play it. But that was a big thing for me because not that it was like I'm not like I'm like, living paycheck to paycheck, scrounging for money between my cushions, but it adds up when you're just buying games just to buy because they came out, and it makes you really think about like, oh, what do I actually want to play right now, rather than just I bought this game so I feel like I need to play it. So that is what the proudest moment for me is, the fact that I kind of hunkered down and was like, I'm not just gonna buy the game just to buy. I'm gonna buy the game when I'm ready to play it.
Right on. Maybe I should do your discipline, but I don't buy them brand new though. I'm a sales hunter. I got my watch list set up for all these games that I want to eventually get. My wish list set up on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. And anytime I see a deep sale, like a really good sale, I just go in there and buy that thing, and I put it on the backlog, and then I'll probably play it sometime in like 2 years. That's me. I have a problem, so.
Yeah, see, I was the opposite. Like, a game would come out, and I would just be like, "Oh, I need it right now," and I would just buy it. And that led me to buy games that I still haven't even played like since I bought them.
Yeah, like God of War Ragnarok for me. I bought it and never played
Gotta
it.
play it. You need to play it.
Yeah, the only games I've bought and not played are on Black Friday. I always buy the heavily discounted games, and there's a couple that I've bought that I still to this day have yet to play, but I bought them because it's like, wow, this normally $50 game is only $15. Buy. So that's me. I only bought like 3 games on Black Friday this year though, so I was proud of myself.
Yeah, I just really enjoy like the sales hunting. Like I almost every day I check my wish list to see what's on sale today and see if there's something that's a great buy. But yeah, back to you, Sean.
Yeah, like when I bought Gollum day one and I still haven't played it. I'm like, come on, guys.
You're missing out, man.
That's gonna be my game of the year.
Oh, it should be. Because we all know that's the greatest game ever.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Are we satisfied with the Dad Award?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Next up, we have Shout out to Eminem on this one. We have the stand, the character of the year, the character that you stand. You made standing a verb. I'm gonna stand something, which is funny because kids still are obsessed with Eminem to this day. It's great. I love it. So the stand, the character of the year award. Hodge, we're gonna throw to you.
So my honorable mentions for this one are, I didn't pick them because they're not really characters. They don't have like their own arc kind of thing. I was going to do Astrobot just because I just love that game, and having all the little Astrobots run around is awesome, and I love them. I was also going to pick just like, it's not really a character, but like the democracy people from Helldivers, they're just such a great satire on like the fascistic democracy kind of people. And there are just lines in the game that are so funny, like, if your teammate is not talking about democracy, please report him to your closest democracy center, and stuff like that. Like, basically trying to make it seem like you're all patriotic, but in reality you're living in a fascist world. But so my favorite character is from a great game that everyone has played called Final Fantasy Rebirth, and I'm going with Tifa Lockhart's big old cans, Tifa Lockhart. I've always liked the character of Tifa. I liked her in Remake. I liked her in 7. But it was this game where they really expanded who she is. And I just loved her story arc. And also, as I talked about on the spoiler cast, I'm an idiot. And I always thought her and Barrett were married. And so the fact that she's actually single and loves Cloud, I was like, oh, that makes her character actually better, because she's like kind of the friend-zoned friend who's in love with Cloud. And it just makes her character more interesting now that I see her through that light. And so I loved Tifa throughout that entire game, even though I didn't play with her that much because I'm not big on her close range combat compared to other people's combat. But she just stuck out to me this year, and I just loved her. So my character of the year is Tifa Lockhart.
It's a great pick.
Great pick. And funny enough, I realized I updated the wrong thing. I put I put your character down for the next award. My bad. Anyway, funny enough, my character of the year is also from the same game. But first of all, I'm going to do an honorable mention. So my honorable mention goes to a character that might have been my winner, but it was not from a game that released this year. But it is Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate 3. Bazel. Love Lae'zel. She's awesome. Some people don't like her because she's kind of cold at first. She's kind of a cunt, if you will. Excuse my language. I know some people hate that word. But shout out to Chris. But she's awesome.
Thank God we're not monetized, because we would have lost it there.
No doubt. But yeah, so that's my honorable mention, is Lae'zel from Baldur's Gate 3. But my actual winner, because this game came out this year, is also from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, I have to give a little bit of disclaimer here. I mentioned that I was a little bit nervous about this pick because I don't want to get put on a watch list, and I don't want people to misconstrue it, okay? There's nothing sexual about this, okay?
Oh my God.
I just like this character a lot, okay? I've said time and time again that the best girl and the best waifu, if you will, from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is Aerith, and that's facts. But I can't pick Aerith as the best character because she's kind of boring, right? She's just like that boring older sister. Oh my God. So, all right. So my winner is actually Yuffie Kisarage or whatever from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I absolutely had a blast playing as Yuffie. Her combat is so fun. Yeah, it is so fun and so addicting. And I don't want to pat myself on the back too much. I don't want to give myself the Obama award too hard, but I got really good with her combat. I was messing these bosses up, man. I was air juggling. I was air juggling them. I was teleporting. I was switching up the elements and hitting those weak spots and breaking them left and right. And Yuffie was so fun. And I also really enjoyed her fun, bubbly, innocent personality. She brought a lot of fun to the cast and levity, if you will. I like Yuffie a lot. Yuffie is my favorite character of the year. Shout out to her. Obviously the best babe of the game is Tifa, no doubt, but Yuffie is the best character in my opinion. So shout out to her.
Don't put me on a list, please. I said this on the spoiler cast. She's kind of like a goofy little sister character, and she's
Yeah.
adorable for that. And like her and Barrett's like older brother, younger sister kind of back and forth was so funny. And so yeah, I completely support. And yeah, she is fun as hell to play as. I love playing as
It's a
Yuffie. That she was,
blast.
yeah, but yeah, she's a goofy, adorable character, and so yeah, that's a great pick. I agree.
I think I've made it pretty clear what I think of Yuffie on
Yeah,
our
he's not
Yeah,
a
previous
fan.
podcast.
Not a fan.
Not
Not a
a
big
fan.
fan of her. Those are great picks, though, guys. To be different, I decided I didn't want to harp on Final Fantasy VII Rebirth so much because I already love that game so much, and Cloud is one of my favorite protagonists of all time. I do have some honorable mentions. I'm going to just say Barrett from Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. His quest line, when you learn so much about his backstory, it just
Oh my gosh,
it's gut
Heartbreaking. Yeah.
so
absolutely gut wrenching. So
So
Barrett, Tifa again, made me. I love Tifa, and it made me love her even more. Aerith, I liked a lot more in Rebirth. She has just the ending of that game with Aerith. It's heart wrenching. It's so emotional. That whole game, just the cast. Shout out to Hojo. No, I hate Hojo. He's a jerk.
Yeah, screw Ocho.
A couple more honorable mentions. I have Syl the Fox from Terra Memoria. There's a part in that game. She's an orphan in that game. Not an orphan, but she doesn't know her parents. And there's a part in the game that is extremely emotional. It's near the end, and it brought tears to my eyes. So Syl, she's great, and she's so much fun to play with. She's like a sorcerer, and her moves are just ridiculous, and she's hilarious. Like her lines of dialogue, I'm constantly laughing. Another honorable mention I have. Sorry, I have a lot of honorable mentions for this category. I love characters.
Yeah.
How dare you enjoy video games, Sean?
I know. Is this game came out back in 2004, but they did the remake or the remaster. It's kind of a remake remaster for the Switch this year. That's Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door. My favorite partner, I love almost all the characters in that game. My favorite partner is Vivian. She's a ghost. She has a really crazy story too, like extremely like. She's originally a villain, and then she becomes your partner because she realizes she's being treated basically like crap by everyone that she's aligned with. I love her, and she's so broken in combat. Like when you like learn how to use her, and being someone who a former speedrunner of that, I used to speedrun the game. You realize just how broken she is, and it's great. She's awesome, and she has a really cool overworld ability. I really like her. Another honorable mention I have is just like the main. This game didn't come out in 2024, but the main protagonist from the two South Park games. I just love playing as my character. How he doesn't speak until there's a point in the game where he does speak, and it's hilarious, absolutely funny. But my final winner is from Visions of Mana, a game that I just recently finished, and that is
Hey,
Morley.
y'all.
No, it's not Karina. It's not Karina. No. I do like Karina, but it's not her. She can get a little annoying. It's Morley, who is like a beast man. He's like a cat man. I promise I'm not a furry, guys. But he's a cat man. He is also a swordsman, and he comes from a city of Itiran, and it is pretty brutal what happened to that city. He's one of the only survivors. This is not a spoiler. This is like right at the beginning of the game. He's one of the only survivors from the destruction of the city. And it turns out that he was pretty much the cause of the destruction where everyone dies. And his mother dies right in front of him, like in his arms, basically. And it is so sad. But you see him grow like throughout the game. He is so depressed and like so serious, but as you go on this journey with your entire party, you see Morley come to kind of forgive himself, and you learn more about him. And there is, if you do his side quest, which I tell you need to do his side quest when you play Visions of Mana because you get so much out of it. Oh my gosh, there is a part that I broke down crying. I couldn't handle it, and Claire was making fun of me the entire time because he is a Batman. And just his combat is ridiculous. He has one of his classes that he has. It's called the It's called the Weapon Master class. One of his attacks is just a critical attack. It has like a really high critical attack rate, and if you equip these ability seeds that increase critical attack, like damage and rate, it's like every hit's a critical rate, and you're just like going like back and forth, like spewing from enemy to enemy, and it's awesome. It's so good, and it really helps you on one of the optional bosses for one of the hardest trophies in the game. So my winner is Morley, the Beast Man.
Morley.
All right.
All right, and
Cool.
that was our Stan, our character of the year.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the Oh My God Award. Shout out to Jose Iglesias, New York Mets player, who sang that song. This is our Surprise of the Year award. Surprise of the Year award. We're gonna try to not spoil anything, so we can kind of just mention what we were shocked at a certain part of a game or a certain scene or just anything really. Take it the way you take it. The Surprise of the Year, the Oh My God.
Oh my
You're up,
God.
Hodge.
All right. Yeah, none of mine are going to be anything spoiler related or story related in general. My honorable mentions first. I wanted to kind of in the same vein as Midnight Before. I did not expect to be going back to podcasting this year, so a big surprise was starting a podcast again. I haven't done podcasting regularly since 2018, so it was fun to really get back on that horse and just be doing this again. So that was a lot of fun. So there's my little Obama giving himself a medal kind of thing. But the other honorable mentions is first, I gotta grab it right here, was the Sony 30th anniversary drops, and the fact that I ended up loving buying this Portal. I've been playing it a lot. We didn't do what we've been playing, but I've been playing a lot of this week, and I'll talk about those games that we play on the next episode. But yeah, just getting this all of a sudden, this 30th drop where everything's the PS1 brand and it looks beautiful, that was a huge surprise. And getting the PlayStation and the Portal, it was such a cool celebration of PlayStation, and I really loved that they released all that stuff. Sadly, didn't get the 30th Pro, but whatever. I got the 30th normal console, and it's just as beautiful. So that's another honorable mention. And then my other honorable mention before I get to my winner is the Alan Wake 2 DLCs just stealth dropping through the year. The first one just dropped during the award show. He's like, it's out today. And then during another conference, they said coming in October, which I think the show was in September. So it was like, it's coming next month. And so being able to play the 2 Alan Wake DLCs this year out of nowhere was a whole lot of fun. But my winner for Surprise of the Year is actually the game Helldivers 2. This is a game that when they showed it off, I was like, it looks like a kind of a Gears of War third-person shooter. It looks fine. Like, I thought it was going to be kind of one of those games that came and went. No one gave a shit about it. But then it came out, and me and my younger brother were just kind of like, this game, I don't know, looks kind of fun. Let's give it a try. And then, months later, we're obsessed with it, and we put, I think on my thing it said I put 150 hours into it or something this year. But yeah, Helldivers 2 was such a out of nowhere surprise. I did not expect to fall in love with this game. Literally, I got my friend to buy a PS5 just to buy the game. Like we turned him into a PlayStation console gamer just so he could play Helldivers with us. And then my cousin, who never turns on his PS5, he's primarily Xbox, like most of my friends. He bought it and so he plays his PS5 just as much as he plays his Xbox now. And yeah, so Helldivers 2, it was such a huge surprise. It's such an amazing game. So it was a big surprise that it took up as much of my time this year as it did. So yeah, Helldivers 2 is my surprise of the year, my OMG moment.
All right. Good stuff. All right. So for me, my surprise of the year, the OMG, is Dragon's Dogma 2. I can't believe how bad and trash this game was. I really can't. Like, this game was so bad. Like, it was horrible. I don't get it. Like, I really thought I was going to love this game. I thought this game was going to be great. I was like, this is such a midnight game. This game was horrible. Like, I swear to God, I was so happy when I finally quit this game. Sean was begging me to drop the game. He was like, Midnight, please, just drop the game, dude. I could see how much you're suffering. And I was like, no, Sean, No, it's gonna get good. Trust me, it's gonna get good. I just got to play another 15 more hours. It didn't get good. The game sucks. Screw you, Dragon's Dogma 2. That's my OMG award. Honorable mention, real quick though, is that I was really surprised that two very small games that I played, Thronebreaker, The Witcher Tales, which is the Gwent based game, and also Eternites, that little indie JRPG. I was surprised that those were both so good for how small they were. But yeah, no. Dragon's Dogma 2, boo.
I was laughing because I like how my surprise was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't believe how good Helldivers was. And your surprise, I couldn't believe how bad Dragon's Dogma 2 was.
Yeah, screw that game. But shout out to GJ for gifting it to me. I do appreciate that.
Yeah. John, what's your surprise of the year?
My surprise of the year is that Midnight actually dropped Dragon's Dogma. No, I'm kidding. I have a couple honorable mentions. One honorable mention is my OMG moment of the year goes to, one of my honorable mentions for it is the fact that Concord died in 2 weeks. I was like, I cannot believe that they actually had the guts to actually say, you know what, we're just going to pull the plug and then just give everyone a refund. We don't care.
Yeah.
We're just going to just do it. We're going to act like it didn't happen. That was absolutely wild, but that's an honorable mention for me. Another honorable mention that I have is for my OMG moment of the year. Yep.
Can I'll just say Concord is probably better than Dragon's Dogma 2, but carry on.
Gosh. That's a bold statement there, Cotton.
That's funny.
My other honorable mention is the fact that they Nintendo randomly announced The Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Like, they showed that and said, oh yeah, it's coming this year. Oh yeah, and it was a freaking fantastic game and it was gorgeous, and that it starred Zelda, and people were like, didn't lose their minds over the fact that Zelda was a playable character. Like, usually people would be like, oh my gosh, we're playing as Zelda, she's a female, and people didn't lose their minds over it. Like, we had some vocal, small people, but it wasn't like an overwhelming, like, this is crazy. So shout out to that. But my winner for my oh my god moment goes to the fact that they remade Croc, The Legend of the Gobos, and that it came out in December and like nobody is talking about it. And fair, I have not played it yet, but
I forgot to. So.
Yeah, Croc, I could not believe it. Like, we've gotten some obscure remakes, just like these weird PS1 games. But when they announced Croc, I was like, it's happening. This is great. And I will be playing it. It came out December 10th, but I love Croc. Even though the game was like broken back on PS1, like the weird tank controls. But I will be playing it. So that's my OMG moment. Goes to the remake of Croc, or the remaster, whatever it even is. Yeah. Croc.
Yeah.
Croc before the Crocs were cool.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Cool. All right. What's next, Sean?
All right. Award number 7, the There's Always Next Year Award. The game from 2024 you missed, but are planning on playing in 2025.
All right. So this was a tough one because I was like looking through all the list and I was like, oh, I missed a lot that came out this year. So I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna explain each one because I have actually a lot of honorable mentions. So I'm just gonna kind of go through them quickly. I want to play Star Wars Outlaws when it it'll come to Game Pass because most Ubi games do eventually come to Game Pass. So I'll probably just play it then. Stellar Blade, I missed out on. I do want to play that one. Persona 3, I'm very back and forth. I don't want to promise that I'll play it in 2025 because I don't know if I will. But I've always wanted to play a Persona game, but obviously the length of those games has always turned me off from playing it. But also, having this bad boy might make it a little more it'll make me want to play it a little more because those games do seem like a cool handheld type game. For listeners, I was holding up my Portal, but what's up, Minute?
Play it on easy too.
Oh yeah,
make it much more digestible.
I play basically anything on story mode nowadays, journalism mode, because I just don't have the time to keep dying and struggle with stuff. So I'm just like, I just want to get through the game, enjoy it, and move on. But I want to play Animal Well. I've heard it was awesome.
So good. It's so good.
And it's on the PS Plus catalog, so I do have access to it without having to buy it, which is nice.
That would be a great Portal game.
Yeah, I'm sure. I want to play the Croc Remastered. You actually just made me think of that. It's a game I definitely want to play because I did love that game as a kid. And then Silent Hill 2 is the other one I really want to play that came out this year. But what I'm going to go with for my winner of the There's Always Next Year is Echoes of Wisdom. I didn't get around to it, but I did play Link's Awakening this year for the first time, and I adored it. And since this is basically just direct sequel, has the same art style, same everything, I think that when they do announce the Switch 2 or the Super Switch or whatever they're going to call it, I think that might be a launch day because I remember how much the frames were dropping in Link's Awakening on the normal Switch. So when we get a little more powerful one, I think I will want to hop into this and let it run a little better. And I'm excited because this game does look fun. It is a puzzler platformer, which is or looks kind of like that genre, and I love that kind of game. And I did love Link's Awakening, as I've said, so I'm very excited to play Echoes of Wisdom, and I will definitely get around to that next year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay.
Some great picks. I think because you had problems with Link's Awakening with that frame rate. It's even worse with Echoes of Wisdom because there's more stuff going on.
Yeah, I figured as much.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, Midnight. What about you?
All right. I was trying to think what even is Echoes of Wisdom, but that's the Zelda, right?
Yeah.
All right. So for me, I have a couple honorable mentions. Number one is going to be Persona 3 Reload Aegis Edition. It's on Game Pass. It came with the DLC too, the Aegis pack. So I'm going to play all of that. It's going to be awesome next year. Another honorable mention is going to be Stalker 2. I want to finally play this game. I've never played a Stalker game. Friend of the show, Lockmort, really loves this game. It's almost his game of the year. It's up there. And he's been trying to get me to play it, but I'm waiting for some patches and time to play it. So that's going to be played next year, I'm sure. But my winner for There's Always Next Year is going to be Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth, Like a Dragon 8. I have to earn this game. I would have already played this game, but I'm doing my Yakuza playthrough. I am on Yakuza 4, playing it right now. And so I got to do 5, 6, and then I have to do Gaiden, the man who erased his name, because I already did 7, which was the original Like a Dragon, because it was like a new protagonist, new story. So I just played it. But anyways, that's what will be mine. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait. 2 Weeb games and 1 Western Great game.
There you go.
You complain about so many games in the Trail series, but you're playing like 4 games to catch up just so you can play some other game. Come on, I'm just messing with you.
They're a lot shorter though. Yakuza games are like 20 hours.
I know. So. All right. For my There's Always Next Year award, I have so many honorable mentions. Too many to name, but I will name a couple. One of them is Dragon Quest III HD. I have not played it yet. I do plan on playing it very, very shortly. The reason why it's just an honorable mention is because it's a remake. And I played the original Dragon Quest III many times, so I'm not gonna be like, oh my gosh, this is my winner. Another honorable mention is Metaphor ReFantazio, only because I may or may not start it before 2025, depending on what I ultimately decide. But it will be played very shortly. Another honorable mention is Stellar Blade. I do want to play Stellar Blade. That game looks sick, and the combat looks awesome. Infinite Wealth, I have to play the first Like a Dragon game first, so that is also an honorable mention. But my ultimate winner this is way different than what I normally play, but this is, well, not way different, but this is Indica. Have either of you ever heard of Indica?
Is that the nun game?
Yep, the nun game.
It does look cool.
Game where you play as a nun, and I've heard the story is absolutely insane. With a lot of twists and turns, and I'm so looking forward to it. Just because anytime I've heard the premise of the game, I'm so interested, and I've skipped over any small spoiler, so I'm really looking forward to see what happens. And it's out on PS5 and Xbox. It came out in May, so I do want to play it. It's not a long game either, so I'm really looking forward to it.
This could be a Hodge game. It's shorter.
Yeah, I've never even heard. I've looking at it now. I've never even heard of this.
So cool.
Yeah, I think you play as a nun. Oh, sorry, Sean. Go ahead.
Yeah, you play as a nun who heard like demon voices, so she's starting to like question, like,
question and stuff.
Yeah, it looks
That's
sick, and I
interesting.
heard some of our friends have played it, and they have spoken very highly of it.
Huh. I've never even heard of this. That's
It
crazy.
looks sick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, put that on your
The only
list.
reason the
Hmm.
only reason I heard of it is because um I heard of it back in May, but I kind of was like, yeah, whatever. And then I was listening to a podcast probably like 3 months ago, and someone brought it up as like what they were playing, and I was like, that sounds absolutely insane. And then after that, I started noticing like more and more people talking about it, and I'm like, oh, I have to play this.
Mhm.
Huh.
All
Nice.
right, what's next, Sean?
All right. Getting down to the nitty gritty, the real hard hitters here. This is the is it Friday yet? I hear this. I hear that way too much when I'm working. But the Is It Friday Yet award, the your most anticipated 2025 release. Do. All right.
Yeah, this is
No
this was a
honorable
tough
mentions for
one.
this. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah. This was a tough one because I was oh crap. Typing the wrong thing. All right. Where'd my list go? Damn it. There we
Just
go.
type it
All
in
right.
after.
No, you're good. I was typing the wrong in the wrong box. So this is a tough one. I didn't know these are gonna be honorable mentions because I don't know what is and what isn't coming out next year. So it's kind of tough. Is first one is Judas. I'm obviously insanely hyped for this. It doesn't have a release date. I can't remember. Did they say 2025? I don't even remember. But
I don't think they
I
said
don't.
2025.
Yeah, I don't trust any dates anyway. So Judas an honorable mention. Um, Hades 2. I know that one will be released into early access, or if I think it already has been actually. But so hopefully that one will come out. Ghost of Yote if it meets its deadline. But I'm gonna go with. There's others that I'm not thinking of right now, but I'm gonna go with this is my number one by far because it's going to be the one that might get me to buy a PS5 Pro just to enjoy it in all its beauty. Is Death Stranding 2. I am more than excited for this game. I've been still playing. I haven't got to play it in a few days, mostly because I've also been playing indie a lot, but I've been playing it on Xbox, and I just forgot how much I love this game. Just like I've described it this way before. It's just therapeutic. Just driving around, delivering packages, just doing the puzzle of how am I going to get to A to B. Who am I going to have to fight to get there? What am I going to have to go through? And the story is just it's batshit crazy, but it's awesome. So I'm just so excited to see how Kojima pulls off the sequel. What is he going to do to improve on it? Obviously, other than the graphics, because those look amazing so far from what we've seen. Which again is why I might straight up buy a PS5 Pro just to play that game. I mean, obviously I'll play other games on it, but yeah, that's like the number one reason I want a PS5 Pro at this point, and hopefully it'll be on sale by then because I don't want to spend $700 on a console. But yeah, so Death Stranding 2, super stoked for this game. I cannot wait. Hopefully it does land next year. Kojima, I don't know how he is about hitting due dates. I feel like everyone doubted Death Stranding 1's release date, and it came out when it came out. So yeah, Death Stranding 2. That's mine.
From my knowledge, Kojima's been pretty spot on with his games. Like I remember Metal Gear Solid 5 was not delayed. Death Stranding came out super quick, like you had said. Metal Gear Solid 4 had that strict June 2008 release date, and they absolutely hit that. And he announced that. He said we're going to release Metal Gear Solid 4 June 2008. He announced that in 2005.
Yeah, yeah. So he's done some pretty good work on getting those out. So yeah, I'm just kind of looking at the list of other. Oh, and South of Midnight's the other honorable mention of mine. I'm excited for South of Midnight. So, but yeah, those are my picks. So what about you, Midnight? Is it
All
Friday yet?
right. Great picks. Great picks. All right. So there's a lot of great games coming out next year that you guys know that I'm a big fan of. We got the Outer Worlds 2. We got Avowed, Death Stranding 2. There's other games too. Sean, do you have a guess? What do you think my most anticipated game is? Can
I'm
you
going
guess?
to guess your 2025 most anticipated game is. I'm gonna guess it probably is Suikoden remaster.
No. Good guess though. So we also
I'm
have
gonna actually hang
Ghost.
on. One more. I'm gonna get one more guess before you say it.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna guess.
All right, you're out of time.
Last of
All
Us
right,
2 on
so
PC.
Yes.
Plastic
So
tomato.
some honorable mentions for me are going to be the ones I already mentioned. Death Stranding 2, going to be awesome. I hope. I am a little nervous about that game. I'm like, I hope that he can hit it again and make it awesome again. But I'm sure he will. Also, Avowed is going to be incredible from Obsidian BlackRock. The Outer Worlds 2, if it hits next year, is going to be incredible, Sean. You know this. And of course, Ghost of Yote is going to be amazing. But those are just honorable mentions. Sean, I
Oh.
told you that I had one game that I think was really going to surprise you. And this is it. My most anticipated game of 2025 is dun, 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 Trails in the Sky First Chapter Remake, The Legend of Heroes. That's right, Sean. You've been wanting me to play this series. You've been wanting me to play this game forever. I have been interested in playing this game because it looks awesome, but there's like 38 games to play. And the first one was old and dusty. But guess what? It's not going to be old and dusty anymore. They're remaking it. It looks incredible. The graphics look awesome. I am ready to embrace Weebery. New year, new me, and why not fill it up with Weebery? That's going to be my motto for 2025. There's going to be a lot of Weebery. I hope Logmort doesn't listen to this because he's going to court martial me if he does. But there's going to be a lot of Weebery in 2025 for midnight because I have all these JRPGs on my backlog that I've been putting off and putting off and putting off and never playing ever. Well, the time is coming. And Trails, that's my pick, Sean.
I love that pick. The time is now.
Yes.
That's an honorable mention on mine only because I've played Trails in the Sky many times. I have a prediction that I'm gonna prefer the older one just because I love like as much as I love Trails so much. I love the 3D games. I love the top down 2D ones. But to me that game I don't know. Something about like the art style, those top-down 2D RPG Super Nintendo S games, like I just really it brings me back. But I'm so looking forward to that. A couple more. 2025 looks freaking banging for games. A couple honorable mentions for me. Outer Worlds 2. I like that blew me away. That should have been my oh my. You know what? That probably could have been my oh my OMG award that they announced that. Well, not announced. They said 2025 release date. Avowed looks so sick. It looks so cool. Grand Theft Auto 5, like I am dead set it's coming out in 2025. I know it is.
Six.
Oh, Grand Theft Auto 6, my bad. I got the 5.
I mean, they will
I'm sure,
re-release 5 too, so they've already
for
released
Switch
it 6
2,
times. So.
confirmed.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are so many. There's way too many to name for 2025. But my most anticipated 2025 game is also a Trails game, and this is Trails Through Daybreak 2. It's coming over to the West, February 16th, 2025. I spewed endless praise for Trails Through Daybreak 1, which I fell in love with, and I played so much of it, and I absolutely adored it back in July. So I cannot wait for the sequel. It's going to be awesome. I cannot wait to see where the story goes. I've heard crazy things from those who've already played the Japanese version. So Trails Through Daybreak 2 coming out in February. I cannot wait.
Nice.
Awesome. All right. Next award, Sean.
All right. The next award we have the classic, the game of the year that didn't release in 2024. So your favorite game that didn't release this year. Hodge, you're up.
Yeah, this was a tough one because I played a lot of games that didn't come out this year. So my honorable mentions are Tinykin. It was the first game I actually played this year. I played it because it was like $8 on PlayStation, so I played it again, which is kind of why it's not going to win because I've already played it before. I was just replaying it, which is actually the same with a couple of these. Sackboy I played for the first time, loved it. I replayed Sly Cooper. I played that back on PS2. I replayed Alan Wake 2. Loved it. And the DLC that is from this year, but spoiler, it's not because I don't believe DLC should win Game of the Year. And then I'm replaying Death Stranding, which I obviously love. And then I played for the first time Crisis Core. I loved that game. It was fantastic. But my Game of the Year that didn't release in 2024, the classic, I'm going to go Dead Space Remake. As I talked about earlier, I was proud that I finally came to this series, but I played through it. I obsessively tried finding everything. I think you have to play through it twice to 100% it. So I haven't replayed it yet, but I definitely am going to go through and replay it because I loved it that much. It is such a amazing game. I hate myself for sleeping on it for so long, but the remake did fix what was still lingering in the second one. Though I heard the second one did improve from the first one of the OGs. The remake improved everything, and it's way better than how it runs in the second. So, yeah, Dead Space 1 remake. I adored this game. It is by far my favorite, not 2024 game release that I played this year.
All
Or
right.
played for the first time.
Excellent pick. All right. So for me, I have I think yeah. So this was tough because I played two of the greatest games ever made this year, in my opinion. Both of these games are in my top 5 to 8, top 8 maybe of all time, and those are The Witcher 3 and Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, these two are just absolute behemoth goat RPGs. And I had to pick one, and it's basically a coin flip, like honestly. I really went back and forth on this a lot. So I'm going to say my honorable mention is going to be The Witcher 3 from CD Projekt Red is my honorable mention. I have to give the actual winner to Baldur's Gate 3. Shout out to Larian. What a masterpiece that they wove with this. Just amazing storytelling. Over like 200 hours of cutscenes that they did. So much choice and consequence. Like you can just twist the narrative as much as you want, save and kill people however you want, get different reactions from people based on your race, based on your actions, all kinds of stuff. Tons of awesome characters, romance. It's got everything, violence. It's just amazing. First time I've ever played a true CRPG like this, and it was great. I'm really looking forward to playing more games in this type of genre and style, like the Solasta 2 or whatever that was at the Game Awards that we saw. That actually looks pretty cool, very similar. But yeah, that's my pick. Baldur's Gate 3 is the classic award winner.
That's such a good pick. Very similar to
Nice.
you. I had never played like a CRPG before, and that like got me hooked, and it was so good. Just like the amount of like different things you can do. There's a reason why it's because it's considered one of the greatest games ever. All right, for my classic, I have a couple honorable mentions. I played a lot of new games this year, but I also played some oldies for the first time. I'm just gonna strictly mention first time games. First, I want to mention the Stick of Truth, absolutely phenomenal game. I still cannot believe that I played these games without watching South Park first, and I still found them hilarious. Like, it's such a good, that was a great game to just play when I got back from Hawaii because like I
Mm-hmm.
like hated leaving Hawaii, and that just brought me so much joy playing the Stick of Truth.
Like a little cure
Um,
for the post Hawaii depression. Yeah.
oh, of course, definitely. Another, you know what? I don't even remember what my other honorable mention I was gonna name was. I had it and I don't remember.
I'm sorry.
It's all no, don't apologize. You never apologize. All right. So my winner, very similar to South Park Stick of Truth. It's South Park the Fractured Butthole. I loved this game. Like I loved it more than Stick of Truth. I found the combat, which is funny because Stick of Truth is much more of like a traditional like turn-based combat, where this is like a grid-based combat. But I loved the story of the Fractured Butthole. I love the whole like the whole superhero aspect. They got even more like zany and crazy with the South Park like stuff that happens in the game. Cartman is I hate Cartman, but he was hilarious with something that happens in this game with his the main villain. Well,
The king.
kind of villain, antagonist-ish, kind of. I love just running around with all the different powers. This game was fantastic. I found myself laughing so much during basically both games. I could give the award to Stick of Truth too, but I like the Fractured Butthole better. It was so much fun going around to on Coonstagram and friending people. And I love just like the random backstories you would get as your hero. Just imagine this. You wake up, you see your parents, you hear something coming from your parents' room. I just love that. And you just go out and it's like changing the backstory every time. And it's great. Shout out to all the characters of South Park. It's so good. And it made me watch South Park. So yeah, that's my classic. South Park, The Fractured Butthole.
Nice.
Love it. I love it. I'm so glad you played these games. We recommended it heavily to you. We knew you would love them. I'm glad.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right.
I love South Park, so those games
So good.
hold a very special place in my heart. I've been watching South Park since I was like 8 years old, which is way too young to be watching South Park, but I've loved that show. It basically formed my very stupid humor, so I love it. Those are great choices.
All right. Are we ready for our next award, our final award?
Yeah,
Yes,
buddy.
I'm
All right,
excited.
here we go. The final award is called the Brady. Man, I love Tom Brady. All right. Shut up. Anyone who gets that reference will laugh, and I know someone who listens to this will get that reference. This is the Brady. This is our game of the year, game that released in 2024. Our favorite game from the year. Hodge, what is your Brady?
So I'm going to go a little more in depth into my honorable mentions just because this is the big award. This is the one we definitely want to talk about a little more. My first honorable mention. This is definitely the weakest of the honorable mentions, just because not because of the quality of the game, but because I have beat it, like I've already said. Is Indiana Jones and the Great Circle? I love this game. I cannot express how much I love this game. If I had beaten it before we recorded this episode, it would have won by far, but I haven't beaten it, so I don't know all the plot points. I don't know all the, it could fall off in the second half. I'm probably about halfway through the game, but I'm loving it. It's insanely good. But obviously, like I said, didn't beat it, so it's not going to win. My next honorable mention is Hellblade 2. I actually really liked this game. I know it's basically just a playable movie, but it was OLED porn. It looked beautiful. It was amazingly acted. What I can't remember her name, but the lady who plays the main person, she deserved winning like actress of the year or whatever at the Game Awards. Like,
Mhm.
she is phenomenal in this role. It's just a very cool setting, very cool story. I loved it, but obviously I don't think it's good enough to win Game of the Year. Space Marine 2 is another one that I really loved. It was another one. I was also debating making that the OMG because it did surprise me. I did not expect to ever play a Warhammer game because I don't care about tabletop games at all. So when this came out, I was shocked that it was as fun as it is. Um, and then Helldivers 2, I almost went with this game as my game of the year because it was so good. But I did fall off of it for a while, and they did since it's a live service, they did kind of ruin the game for a little bit by nerfing all the fun guns and all. Like, they unnerfed everything, they buffed everything again to make it fun, so everyone could enjoy it. But so it's amazing again. But I didn't go with it also because it's just it's just one of those multiplayer games that I like playing with friends. I don't ever hop into Helldivers by myself. I'm always playing with people, so I don't really consider multiplayer games game of the year. Not that anyone who votes for a multiplayer game for game of the year, good on them. But because I consider kind of friend multiplayer games different from single player story games. So, loved Helldivers, but it's not my winner. So, my game of the year is going to come down between two of these games, Astrobot or Final Fantasy Rebirth. And this was the toughest choice I've had to make. And my game of the year is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game, yeah, it was impossible to pick between it because Astrobot, it's a fun platformer. I had a dumb grin on my face the entire time because of how much fun it is. Finding all the little PlayStation little bot guys and saving them, and this game was a perfection when it comes to gameplay. Obviously, the story is not there. It's just find parts of a PlayStation 5 and rebuild it. It's really, there's no plot to this game. But it's an insanely fun game. So I went with Rebirth because it was fun, beautiful, and the story was amazing. This game came out when I had just quit my job. I was kind of in a bit of a funk because it was just not a healthy workplace, and I was out of work for about a month and a half before I moved down to Texas for my job, and then everything happened after that. But so I was just kind of living at home trying to find a job for about a month and a half. So I played Rebirth every single day. I beat that game in about 3 weeks, if not shorter, and it took me 75 hours. So I played that game from basically waking up to going to bed many days. and I loved every single moment of it. I explored everything. Like I said, I didn't platinum it because I'm not good enough to like S rank the songs, and I'm not going to play out harder difficulties and all that kind of stuff. So I didn't platinum it, but I did everything I could on the difficulty I had and just tried completing it. I found, all the summon spots and all that, and like I did everything you could in that open world because I loved finding it. We talked about how it was a little bloated, the game, but I still loved exploring every region and doing every little thing. I loved all the characters. Like I said, the story, seeing how they kind of remix the OG plot to be more of a sequel than really a remake kind of thing. It's a really cool concept, and I just loved every moment I had with this game. So it barely edges out Astrobot to be my game of the year for this year. So yeah, that's mine. Rebirth. Love it.
Fabulous
Okay.
picks. Fabulous picks. All right, Midnight, you're up.
Good stuff. Yeah. So I was looking through my list here, and I only played like 2 or 3 games from 2024. I was really living in the backlog, playing some great games from older. But I do have a very strong pick here. No regrets. This probably would have won anyway. So honorable mention, first of all, is to Dragon Age, the Woke Guard. Shout out to Dragon Age. Shout out to Dragon Age, the Veil Guard.
The gay guard.
Underrated game, overhated game. Despite the hate campaign against this game for reasons which are somewhat understandable, but also not. This game has good reviews. If you look at the reviews, if you look at Steam, the ratings are mostly positive. People like this game. It's a good game. So shout out to Dragon Age, the Veil Guard. Sean,
let me interject for a second. This is coming from the man who was on the mountaintop, yelling and screaming for months on months. The game of the year, Veilguard. This is the game of the year. This is gonna be the game of the year. And me and Hodge would sit here and listen and smile and nod and nod and nod. He was convinced, but ultimately, it takes a real man to admit when they're wrong. So Midnight, I applaud you.
Thank you. It is my honorable mention. It is my second favorite game that I played, although admittedly didn't play a lot of games this year that were brand new. But my game of the year, and this is going to be no surprise, it's the same as Hodge, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This game is almost a masterpiece. If this game wasn't so damn bloated in certain areas, it would be a masterpiece. But what a great game. I absolutely love the graphics, the world, the combat. Shout out to Yuffie with the combat, with the juggling and abilities. So fun. Dude, the characters are amazing. The story is amazing. Super powerful, emotional, sad. My girl, but it's a shame what happens, everyone knows, but yeah, this game is just incredible, and I cannot wait for part 3. Is that going to be the final, right? They're only doing 3 games,
Correct.
I think. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Good.
They don't need to keep dragging it out. I'm ready for the finale. It's going to be great. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, my game of the year for 2024, or the Brady, as Sean would say. What say you, Sean?
It's a fantastic pick. Much like Hodge, I have a couple honorable mentions I definitely want to mention. I made a little like top 5. So I'll give my honorable mentions. Honorable mention Astrobot. This game was awesome. Hodge and I, like we had mentioned, we absolutely gushed about it for about an hour and a half on our DLC episode. So I really encourage you to go listen to that, guys. This is the game that keeps the game that keeps on giving, much like the gift that keeps on giving. They've added in speedrun levels. They've added in that Christmas drop was out of nowhere. It was awesome.
Loved it.
We randomly talked about what we think they're going to add next, and I definitely think they're just going to keep adding things. This game's going to be on my PSN, my PlayStation 5 forever. I'm not going to delete it. It's so much fun to just jump in and play through. So that was an honorable mention. Another honorable mention I have is Visions of Mana. I adored this game. It was my first ever Mana game. And as I talked about with Morley's just one example of the characters. Amazing, just like stories and narrative arc. As someone who really appreciates the plot pyramid, if like for those who don't know, I'm not gonna get into all English teacher on you guys, but the traditional plot pyramid, if you know what that is, it has like the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and then the resolution. All 5 characters follow their own individual plot pyramid, and it's great. And it really just speaks to me, and morally just spoke to me the most. So I have Visions of Mana. Number 3 honorable mention is Terra Memoria. This game, that little indie game that I just talked about, that reminded me of Paper Mario. I was blown away by this game. Much like Visions of Mana, the characters are very memorable. The story's awesome, combat's great, art style is just chef's kiss. Final honorable mention for me, Trails Through Daybreak. It came so close to being my game of the year. So close. I love this game so much. Just the story was outstanding. The characters spoke to me. The world. It's such a different Trails game than any other Trails game I've played. It takes place after the Great War. It takes place in a time period where you can see like they're getting more technology. The whole the game is just awesome. I've spoken about this game too many times. I don't want to get more into it, but my game of the year. Oh, think it's Rebirth there. Updating the dock a little early.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
That's what it is.
It is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. We have a consensus game of the year. We have a consensus Brady here.
A Queen
Final
Sweep.
Yep, the Clean Sweep.
Queen's Blood,
Rebirth
great game.
is my game of the year. I love Final Fantasy VII. It's my favorite game of all time. Rebirth, I came in with super high expectations, and I was absolutely blown away. I understand people think it's complain about the bloat. I enjoyed every single second I spent in this game. I spent 175 hours. I got the platinum. I did every single little thing you can possibly do. From the mini games to running around the world to just hunting down enemies to riding chocobos to just talking to random NPCs to Queen's Blood. We haven't even mentioned Queen's Blood. I loved everything about this game. I am so stoked for part 3. I cannot wait to see what they do and how the story unfolds. If you want to hear our full spoilery thoughts, where we just spoil the crap out of this game and really theorize what's going to happen, please, I encourage you to listen to our DLC on this game. But yeah, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is my Brady.
Great, man.
Nice.
Yeah, listeners, let us know in the comments which game is the true game of the year that we picked. Was it Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, or was it Rebirth, or maybe Final Fantasy VII Rebirth? Let us know.
Or if there's another game you guys enjoyed, what was your favorite of the year?
Yeah, what was yours?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we did it. We got through our Goppies, our award show for 2024. I had such a blast hosting this. I hope you guys had fun doing this.
Yeah.
I hope the audience writes in with their winners of each individual award. It was great. Absolutely had a blast. Yeah, till next episode. Oh, what's up?
I thought of two awards that we'll have to add for next year on top of these 10.
We can always do that. We're always room for improvement. Audience, if you have an award you want to throw in there, or like a topic you want to throw in there, please let us know. I will try to come up with some crazy name. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. A little behind the scenes action here. You're getting our initial thoughts. But yeah, guys, this was a wonderful time. Please leave us a like, leave us a comment on YouTube, subscribe to us, leave us 5 stars, leave us a review. Do really just talk about it. Let us know how we're doing. Hodge, final thoughts.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. Great. I definitely was happy we started this podcast this year. As I said before, it was a fun year. Obviously excited to continue this on into next year and talk about our games that we love. I mean, that's the best part about this show is obviously we've done episodes where we kind of troll on bad stuff, but it's mostly about just the love of the game and playing games with everyone. And I love doing this. And I hope, again, everyone had a Merry Christmas, has a great New Year. I hope you got what you wanted from Santa. I got what I wanted, and that's a day off. And yeah, I'm happy we were able to do this. The Bears are going to get their ass kicked next year tonight because they suck and they're playing the Seahawks. So yeah, but I'm going to spend time with the family today, so I'm excited for that. But I was happy to find the time to do this episode because I was not about to miss it.
Right on. Hodge, real quick, did you see the rumors about the Bears maybe getting Pete Carroll coming back to coach? What do you think about that?
I think he's a little old, but he is an insanely good coach, so I wouldn't be too upset with it. It's just how long would he want to be with the team, or when the hell is he going to retire? So,
Yeah.
I'm not against it at all, but in terms of long term, I'd rather have a Mike Tomlin who I could have for 20 years and be a good coach, not someone who's going to
All
be
right.
there for. I'm just saying in terms of someone
You can have them.
who has a long tenure. I'm saying I would like a Belichick, a Tomlin, a Carroll, someone who's been there forever. I don't want a guy who's going to come in 3 years we're trying to get a new fucking coach again. So I want Vrabel. That's my choice. But yeah, Bears suck. So I have no optimism anyway. So
all right.
Yeah. What about you, Midnight?
Yeah, so I guess my final thoughts. Okay, so my final thoughts are just, again, I just want to thank everybody for listening to our awesome podcast. Well, I think it's awesome, shout out to us, but we really appreciate you guys. As I've mentioned before, this podcast is not monetized. We do it for the love of the game. If you want to help us out, besides listening, which we really appreciate, just leave us likes, leave us comments, leave us 5-star reviews on Spotify, Apple, if they have, I think they have reviews, leave us there. We appreciate it. And I'm just so happy. Sean, this was an awesome episode you did. You thought of this. This was your baby. What a great end of year celebration. Well hosted, well dressed, my friend. And yes, thank you. That's my final thought. Just appreciation.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I echo everything you said. I've had so much fun doing this podcast with you guys. It's been an absolute blast. I look forward to it every single time. I love talking to you guys. I love talking in our duck and just planning things out. It's so much fun. We have so much more content coming to you in 2025. It's going to be a great 2025. I cannot wait. But yeah, that's been the Goppies. That's been Games Over Plastic. All right, guys, time to say bye.
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 Thanks for riding with us into the forest of the light and gods. And that should do it. Man, I love Tom Brady.